Tom, something that's often not talked about and certainly often shamed related to is the value of testosterone. It's
Oh,
often
yeah.
criticized and downplayed, and it's always about something bad. And I'd like to talk about the positive aspects of testosterone because we wouldn't shame or discount estrogen as though it's a bad thing.
Right.
But I
Right.
challenge in our society, we often do with testosterone, which is a way to damage our young men and boys.
Yep. Alan Alda started us off by talking about testosterone poisoning,
Right.
as if it was testosterone that poisoned men and boys. I mean, it's just crazy stuff, Martin. Absolutely insane stuff. You know, they've come around a long way now. They used to think that testosterone was all about violence and aggression and whatever. And it looks like what fooled them was that it was the aggression that was raising the testosterone, not the testosterone raising the aggression. So they had it backwards. Anyway, they know now that testosterone is really a social hormone. It has to do with our social interactions. And the primary piece they know is that it pushes men and boys to strive for status. Strive for status, to want to do better, want to do well, want to be first, want to come in first. Because how many times have you heard women say, he always wants to win. Why can't he just let someone else win for a change? La, la, la. It's because he's got this testosterone that's cooking inside him that says, win, win, win. But, it's not just winning. It's social status winning. So it could be that the winning is actually coming down a peg. For instance, one of the things that caught everyone's eye was the research they did on testosterone, where the researchers, I think, were betting that they gave one group testosterone and another group a placebo, and then they were seeing how fair they would be in this interaction, this gameplay, right? And it blew their minds because the ones that got testosterone ended up being more fair than the ones that didn't, So striving for status is not always about just me. Striving for status is about trying to look as good as you can in the public eye, But they found out all kinds of things about testosterone, Martin. It's not just the striving for status. Testosterone lowers fear. So that as boys at 13, when they get jacked up with testosterone, their fear goes down and their risk-taking goes up. So fear goes down, risk-taking goes up. And this thing now they know in testosterone, they call threat vigilance, which means basically if you have status that you've gained, the threat vigilance says, protect that status, protect that status, protect that status. Don't let anyone threaten it. That's why men and boys will tend to get into fights and things, because they've got this part of them that says threaten, if it's threatened, protect it. And you add alcohol, mental illness, or any other bunch of things, someone who's very tired, and you've got this threat vigilance, it turns into a fight rather than to just a conversation or some sort of capacity to interact. But that's what's there. This threat vigilance says, if you've got status, protect it. Then the last thing they know about testosterone, and they're going to find out more, I'm sure, is that there's an element of testosterone that helps men be resilient. So that if he fails 3, 4, 5 times, testosterone says, try again, try again, try again. Think about, what's his name with the light bulb, Edison.
Yeah, Edison.
He had testosterone pushing him to just keep trying, keep trying, keep trying, So testosterone is a wonderful thing. It's what's built civilization. It's really, everything you see around you is probably at least partly related to testosterone. And here we talk about it's being poison. Boys need to hear that this stuff that's going through their veins is really helping them. They also need to know, Martin, that testosterone tends to mute tears. So that boys, I remember when I was 8 years old, 7 years old, I could cry and cry and cry. And then, oh man, 13 hit, stopped crying. I always thought I was just trying to be tough, but that's not it. We know now that testosterone blunts the tears, so it does all kinds of things. And one of the ways we know about testosterone and that is all the research, or not research, the writing that's been done by the trans men, biological women who take these huge doses of testosterone and grow beards and become men, right? they write this interesting stuff about how they moved from being a woman and dealing with their emotions to being a man and dealing with their emotions. And most of what I've read so far, the women go, uh-oh, or the trans men, the men say, uh-oh, I was wrong. I was judging men very harshly and unfairly because I did not know what it was like. You know? So
It's
ladies
also,
out there, what's
yeah,
that?
go ahead. What are you going to say?
Ladies out there, you know, read Max Valerio's book or watch my interview with Max and another trans man where they talk about this and how they went from this very verbal kind of talking about feeling stuff into this place where they didn't want to do that at all. They weren't interested at all in talking about their emotions. And when they did try and talk about emotions, guess what happened, Martin? They got confused. How many times in therapy, man, have I heard a woman say, oh, she's feeling this and she's feeling that. And she turns to her husband and she says, honey, what are you feeling? And he goes, now they know why. Testosterone scrambling stuff. You know, these trans men talk about how when they took lots of testosterone, they could no longer articulate their emotions as they were feeling them.
But it didn't mean they didn't have them. That's the important.
Oh yeah, they got them.
You know,
they got them.
That's the thing is just because you don't have language to it doesn't mean you don't have it. So in our culture of shaming the male that doesn't have the language for it discounts the feelings that are there.
And why doesn't he have the language for it?
Well, because
testosterone won, but why would testosterone do that? You know, hormones and things don't do things that aren't helpful evolutionarily.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason for it. And of course, the guesses now are that testosterone is doing this to men and boys because traditionally, for thousands of years, men and boys had to be the ones on the perimeter, guarding the perimeter. They had to be the ones to pull the trigger, right? They didn't want to talk about their feelings. If they talk about their feelings, they're going to let the intruders in, right? So it's actually helpful to our culture that men and boys are not. I mean, when a cop goes to an accident, you don't want him to burst into tears and go, oh, this is horrible, you know? Yeah. You want him to do his job. Then he can process stuff.
You know?
Yes, exactly. You want him to do his job, and then he can process. Right. And that's what testosterone does. It sort of scrambles things so that he focuses on the job first and the emotions later.
You know, what I like to do is say, just take the reverse and hear how it sounds. You know, imagine us saying estrogen is evil poisoning, you know, women. Right. I mean, just imagine, I would be offended. I would stand up and say, I'm sorry, that's not right. There's gifts in both of these. Let's not make it, you can be one or not. And just like you mentioned with these people who've transitioned from female to male, that doesn't discount either one. It doesn't say you must be one, but let's not make it negative just because your core is masculine. Right. And that's, to me, the conversation to occur. And it's also important, this is where the value of mothers understanding the unique value that testosterone plays in their sons, and then fathers being supported in channeling this with them and working with them, and understanding that the father has an experience of what it's like to operate in a testosterone body, and it's a little easier to build a connection than if his body was a core estrogen body. It doesn't mean that
it's worse than that, Martin.
But it's different. Yeah,
it's worse than that. They know now that the baby's oxytocin raises when the baby gets nurtured by the mother. The mother, oh, coo, and touches and nurtures and basically just touches and touchy-feely stuff, right? But the baby's oxytocin raises for something different with the father. Play.
Oh, fascinating.
Baby's oxytocin goes up when the father starts playing. Isn't that interesting?
And both are important. We don't want to take one or the other away.
You got to have both. I mean, they know now all of the things that play does for children, and it's amazing what it does. Just amazing. You know, from risk taking, you know, to being able to understand the difference between violence and play. There's all kinds of things that kids learn from being able to play. But that's another topic altogether. But you know, again, testosterone and men have a very important role in the family. You know, just as estrogen has an important role. And sadly, you know, what we've done is we've thrown the mother's role with estrogen out the window.
Right.
We're taking kids and pawning them off to somebody who doesn't love them. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Anyway, don't let me get started, Martin.
That's right.
We'll be here all night.
This was a great discussion. Thanks talking about it. And also, I want to make sure to have the links below of what you mentioned. Those interviews sound interesting. And then there's probably a book you recommend if someone wants to learn more about this, Tom.
Oh, yeah. You know, Max Valerio's book is well worth reading. Max was a journalist before he was a trans man, and his writing is just beautiful. And you can tell in the interview that I did with Max and with another trans man that, you know, Max is very articulate and knows what he's talking about. He's able to convey it.
And I love your model that it's like a bell curve. And, you know, biologically, 80% of the males biologically would be more masculine at the core, and 80% of the females that are biologically female will be that. And then there's all types of beautiful diversity that can exist in between. We aren't excluding that in this conversation.
Right.
But we are saying excluding one is just as evil and just a net gain in our society as not allowing for both to coexist.
Yes. Well, a lot of this depends on how much testosterone the little baby gets at 2 months. They talk about the testosterone flood, and there are some girls that get this flood. So what you find is, you know, there's this wonderful diversity, but I think you're about right. It's about 80%. And then there's hybrids all in between, you know. We need to learn to love everybody.
Right.
That's really the goal, is to accept people where they are and to love them for who they are. And we're really failing with men.
Yeah.
You know, we're really failing.
Well, boys is the one that's most noticeable, because the mothers are coming to me and they're noticing something's wrong.
Yes.
We are not supporting them. I can't get support for it. You know, that's to me the saving grace in any of this is mothers standing up and saying enough is enough. And that's I'm starting to see that. I'm starting to go, wait a second, you can't just slam man. You know, there's new turns for men that are aggressive in any form in business. And was it mansplaining or something like that?
Mansplaining, manspreading.
Mansplaining. What an insulting thing for a boy to hear.
Yes, you know? Exactly. And not only that, Martin, they're taught in
like some of these old things where we made women look stupid. Those were horrible too. It's like, oh, you're being a woman. Well, I wouldn't tolerate that today either.
And the problem is that mothers don't know even one thing about what we've talked about today. And how could they know it? They've never been taught. The media doesn't tell you anything, and they grew up as girls. So buy my book, Helping Mothers Be Closer to Their Sons. Learn about these things, because when you know about your son and the way he is, it's going to be a whole lot easier to get close to him. That's an advertisement, Mark.
Yeah, that's all right. And thanks for the discussion. We welcome comments. Find something useful, let us know. And of course, make sure to follow my channel and click the bell so you get others along the way. And
there you go.
This is to open up conversations, not close down discussions.
That's it.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome, Martin. It's good to see you.